Hello, everyone. Welcome to Relax with Bedtime Stories, where you can listen to the sound of my voice. And tonight, we're melting into sleep. No resistance, no overthinking. You're already drifting into a quiet that's waited all day for you. The world hums faintly, a clock, a charger, but your body's done enough. Even your feet have surrendered. This journey is designed to gently unplug your mind. If you enjoy this, tap like and subscribe, or just blink twice if you're too cozy. Tell me where you're listening from. Now dim the lights and let's slip into stillness together. You begin by dropping the day, not physically, although that would be nice. Just taking your to-do list, your phone notifications, that one awkward thing you said 5 years ago, and letting it all thud to the floor like a heavy backpack. You don't even have to fold it. You just let it go. Right now, you're horizontal, safe, held. The air around you feels heavier in the best possible way, like a weighted blanket made of silence. It's not loud silence. It's the hush of a library built for one. You. Let your shoulders melt into the mattress. And while you're at it, maybe unclench your jaw. You weren't planning on biting anything tonight, were you? Now imagine you're lying in a hammock. Not the nylon kind that flips you like a human burrito, but a hand-woven, perfectly balanced one. You're nestled between two ancient trees that have been standing there for centuries, keeping watch, exchanging bark gossip, and wondering why humans always look so tense. The relaxation ease is subtle, like a whisper that forgot its words. You sway back and forth, not thinking, not fixing, not even dreaming yet. And while you drift, let's talk about being held. Because that's what this whole process is. A slow surrender into being held by gravity, by breath, by quiet. Did you know that the earliest lullabies weren't just songs, they were spells? In ancient Babylon, mothers sang rhythmic chants that historians believe were used to protect children from nightmares. Imagine that, a tune so soothing it could chase off a bad dream like garlic for vampires. You sway again, back and forth, and somewhere in your body, a tiny muscle you didn't know existed lets go, like a secret sigh escaping the corner of your elbow. You're not doing anything. That's the point. You're here to not do. And here's the science of it all. Your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch of your body's command center, starts humming when you slow your breath, when you let go. It's basically the internal spa manager of your life. So breathe in and slowly breathe out like you're trying to fog up a window again and again. You're not just falling asleep, you're falling into yourself. Remember those tree guardians? Let's pretend they've watched over people like you for centuries. They saw scribes nod off mid-parchment. They saw revolutionaries curl up beside mossy roots. They even saw a squirrel try to hoard a candle once. Bold move. You sway again, back and forth. Softly now, the world begins to fade. That buzzing thought about your inbox, gone. That vague sense of needing to be anywhere else, also gone. What's left is warmth, stillness, a low, slow thrum of safety. And here's something quirky for your half-awake brain to munch on. In the 1960s, a Swiss inventor created a mechanical lullaby machine designed to rock adults to sleep. It was basically a chair hooked to a metronome. It didn't catch on, probably because being cradled by robot arms sounds more haunted house than dreamland. But the idea that we never stop needing to be rocked, that's true. You're still swaying, maybe not in a hammock now. Maybe it's the gentle rocking of a boat or a slow-moving train with windows open to a summer night. No ticket needed. Let's talk about the weight of blankets. Not metaphorically, like actual blankets. Modern studies say weighted blankets can help reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase serotonin, the calm down hormone. In other words, it's like being hugged by science. So if you're curled up right now with your favorite blanket, you're basically participating in a neurochemical cuddle party. Congratulations. Some people think falling asleep is about turning off. But you're not a light switch. You're more like an old record player. The needle lifts, the arm glides back, and the music fades with that warm vinyl crackle. Right now, your thoughts are crackling. Not loud, not sharp, just fading. You drift back and forth, breathing like waves now, not forced, just there, just enough. Historians still argue whether early humans used music to sleep or only for ceremony. But one ancient flute, made from vulture bone, suggests they may have played soft melodies around the fire before curling into communal slumber. Imagine that. No Netflix, no doom scrolling. Just stories and flutes and the sound of wolves very, very far away. You adjust your body slightly, not out of discomfort, just instinct. Your limbs are learning the shape of sleep. And here's a secret. You don't need to fall asleep. That's such a dramatic verb. No falling required. You settle into sleep, like dust on a bookshelf, like snow on pine needles, like your phone settling into do not disturb mode. Finally, remember the trees? They're still watching, still swaying, like your thoughts, until they, too, still. Now we're just breathing together, you, me, and the quiet hum of a world that finally let go of the day. Somewhere in the space between inhale and exhale, you notice it. The ground beneath you has shifted, not in a dramatic earthquake way, but subtly, like the floor has gone soft, like your mind, once rigid with tasks and thoughts, is now spongy, sleepy, and willing to let go. You're not walking anymore, you're gliding. It's the dream version of those airport walkways, only this one moves without destination or time. You're just carried. Soft floors, slower thoughts, slower everything. You drift into a new scene, one with the hushed glow of candlelight on stone walls. The air here smells like lavender and old pages. You're in a medieval castle, but not the cold, drafty kind with tortured screams echoing in the hallways. No, this is the cozy kind, if you can believe it. A tucked-away chamber where the fire's crackling, the tapestries are thick, and someone just set down a steaming mug of herbal brew. Even nights had bedtime routines, you know. While we picture to the day, we them clanking around in armor 24/7. Historical records from the 14th century show that most of them had nightshirts, slippers, and yes, favorite sleeping spots. Some even kept personal pillows brought from home, embroidered by mothers or wives, stuffed with feathers or horsehair. Romantic. Maybe. Scratchy. Definitely. You tiptoe past rows of sleeping guards and half-burned candles, the only sound, the distant hoot of an owl contemplating philosophy or mice. There's something funny about imagining people from hundreds of years ago having the same end-of-day sigh. You know the one, where you flop onto something soft and whisper finally to the ceiling. And speaking of soft, historians still argue whether medieval castle floors were covered in rushes for warmth or just replaced when they got too gross. The answer? Probably both. Some floors were layered with straw and herbs like mint or chamomile to keep things fragrant and insulated. But yeah, those rushes didn't get cleaned often. Sleep ring. If with one eye open for beetles, you smile, because that's the joy of this little mind glide. You're floating through time, brushing your fingers across dusty furniture and forgotten dreams. And every breath makes things blurrier in the best possible way. In, out, again. You're lying in your own cozy fortress now. Maybe it's made of pillows, maybe of sand, maybe of cloud. Doesn't matter. It's yours. And the only battles you're fighting tonight are against wakefulness. Here's a random gem to tickle your twilight brain. In Japan's Edo period, people used wooden headrests called makura to sleep sitting up so their elaborate hairstyles wouldn't get crushed. Imagine trying to sleep like a queen with a neck cramp as your nightly companion. You, luckily, have nothing but softness beneath you, and no one expects you to preserve your updo. Let's lean into that even more. Back in ancient Greece, doctors like Hippocrates believed that sleep helped rebalance the humors, aka the bodily fluid they thought governed your health. If you were cranky, more sleep. Tired, definitely more sleep. Sad, still, sleep. Honestly, same. Right now, your humors, whatever they are sighing in harmony. You're not worried about your inbox, your kitchen, or whether the cat's plotting something. You're curled up in a tapestry of silence, where the only urgency is choosing which side of the pillow to use. Cool side, obviously. The breeze sneaks back in, just enough to brush your arm and remind you that the world outside still exists. But it's paused. It can wait. Everything can wait. Even your thoughts are yawning now, slower, softer. Some of them trail off mid-sentence and never come back. That's okay. They weren't important. Remember that castle? It begins to fade. You're gliding again, this time into a landscape even sleepier. Rolling fields, bathed in moonlight. Crickets tuning tiny violins. A nearby brook mumbling secrets to the grass. And here's your next fun fact. In the 19th century, some people believed sleep happened because your blood literally drained into your legs. That's why they advised lying completely flat to prevent your brain from running dry. Silly, maybe, but at least it was an excuse to lie down more. You adjust your blanket, or maybe just imagine you do. The line between body and bed is getting fuzzy, and still you breathe in, out. You're gliding now past ancient beds. Think straw mats, woven reed pads, furs over stone slabs. Some Neolithic humans slept in actual pits lined with warm ash and moss, cozy, a little crunchy, and yet they dreamed too, probably about fire or mammoths or berries they weren't sure were poison. Historians still debate whether those early humans slept in one big chunk or had segmented sleep patterns, like sleeping 4 hours, waking to stoke the fire or swap bedtime stories, then dozing off again. You, however, don't need to stoke anything. You've got your modern magic, a quiet room, maybe a weighted blanket, and someone narrating you into oblivion. You drift again. Thoughts are like feathers now, light, erratic, and barely worth noticing. You catch a glimpse of something strange, A giraffe in a medieval hat? A bus made of clouds? Doesn't matter. You're halfway between sense and dream. If you're still listening, your breath is probably slower now, almost matching the pulse of the earth beneath you. A low thrum, like a heartbeat under the soil. Or maybe just the fan humming beside your bed. Either way, it's enough. And as your thoughts start to glaze over, here's one more sleepy tidbit. Did you know there's a village in India called Shani Shingnapur where no houses have doors? They believe the god Shani protects them, so people feel safe enough to sleep without locks. Imagine that, trusting the world enough to sleep completely open. Tonight, you get that kind of peace. Not because a god is guarding your house, though who knows, but because you're allowing your mind to soften. You're saying, not ow to the noise, the judgment, the pressure. You're saying yes to slowness, to softness, to sleep. Your body? A puddle. Your brain? A cat on a windowsill in the sun. You don't need to grip anything. You don't need to plan or plot or parse. You just need to be right here, right now, in this hush, in this bed, in this moment, because the world is still turning, sure, but you don't need to, not tonight. You barely noticed it. But you're lighter now, not just sleepy, weightless. Thoughts are vapor, time is syrup. You float, gently like a paper boat on still water, or a thought drifting past someone else's dream. You've left the castle behind, left the fields, left the need for context. Now you're somewhere in between story and sensation, between memory and myth. The landscape around you is hazy, like your eyelids on a too early morning. Only now it's night, always night, and the air is thick with lullaby dust. You're not lost, you're sailing. The mind does that sometimes, sets out with no compass, no destination, just a soft breeze of intention. Tonight's intention, float deeper, float longer, let go faster. And while you drift, let's talk about kings who couldn't sleep. We tend to think of royalty as all-powerful, draped in velvet, sleeping on clouds of goose feathers. But King George III of England, yes, that George, was famously plagued by insomnia. His diaries revealed nights of pacing, praying, and even writing poetry to the moon. Poor guy just couldn't switch off. Some say it was the pressure, others say madness. Historians still debate the extent of his condition, but one thing is certain. Even monarchs lie awake counting invisible sheep. You, on the other hand, have a secret weapon. You have imagination. Imagination is a raft made of memory and wonder. It floats you away from anything too sharp, too loud, too now. Let's use it. You imagine the sea, not the chaotic, crashing kind, but the whispering version, moonlit, glassy, a sea that reflects stars so perfectly you're not sure if you're floating on it or in it. The boat you're in is small, cozy, lined with cushions. A lantern swings gently above, casting shadows that yawn. There's a journal in your lap, blank pages. You pick up a quill because yes, we're in an old-timey dream now, and start writing, nothing. The ink comes out in waves, no words, just swirls. The page absorbs your silence like it was thirsty for it. You lean back, inhale, exhale. The boat rocks. Again and again. Just like before, back in the hammock, remember? That same rhythm returns now. Except this time, you're floating on memory and history. Because sleep isn't just a body function, it's a cultural event. Every generation has tried to crack the code of perfect rest. In ancient Egypt, dreams were messages from the gods, and sleep was considered a sacred bridge. Temples had dream chambers where people would lie down, hoping for divine advice while snoozing. Imagine that, your sleep reviewed like a voicemail from Ra. And here's a quirky one. The Romans used roasted lettuce seeds as a sleep aid. That's right, a nice bowl of crunchy bedtime salad. Who knew your Caesar dressing could double as NyQuil? You smile, or maybe your mouth just drifts into a smile shape. Hard to tell. The boat keeps gliding. No oars, no captain, just the wind, the stars, and you. And if a thought bubbles up, like that email you forgot to reply to, or the laundry you left in the washer, let it sail past. You don't need to carry it tonight. You don't need to carry anything. Here's a dreamy little fact. Some cultures believed that sleep was actually a type of miniature death, a practice run of sorts. Comforting? Not really, but oddly poetic. It explains why so many old paintings show sleeping people with one hand delicately resting over the heart, like they're posing for a farewell photo. You don't need to pose. You don't need to perform. You just need to breathe. In, out. Your boat drifts past a small island now. On it stands a tiny cottage with light spilling out the windows. You don't need to go inside. You just know someone's baking bread, maybe reading by candlelight, maybe humming. The scene is enough. You float by like a casual observer in someone else's cozy dream. And then it fades, because that's what sleep does. It gives you places without pressure, details without consequence. You, Pa, is a man on the shore, writing something in the sand. He writes REM in big letters, and then waves. You wave back. Because why not? Let's talk about that for a second. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, is where most dreams happen. It's your brain's version of a nightclub. Electrical activity, memory processing, random movie montages starring your second grade teacher and a talking walrus. The funny thing is, even though your body is deeply relaxed, your brain is buzzing, making connections, filing thoughts, whispering, "Remember this," while showing you a flamingo driving a taxi. You're probably close to REM now. I'd say hovering. In fact, if you tilt your head, you might feel your thoughts start to lose gravity. They stretch like chewing gum or disappear like mist. You're not just thinking slower, you're thinking sideways. Let it happen. Here's something curious. In the early 1900s, there was a belief that certain foods caused bad dreams. Cheese, especially. The phrase cheese dreams was born when people noticed eating aged dairy led to weirder, more vivid dreams. So if you had a late night charcuterie board, good luck. But honestly, weird dreams are just imagination flexing. Let it. You deserve to have a flamingo taxi every now and then. The boat continues. The sea begins to shimmer, less like water, more like melted stars now. You can't tell where the horizon ends or begins. Just a glittering stretch of calm. Time folds here. There is no tomorrow, no earlier today. Just this breath, and this one, and this one. You think of nothing and feel everything, because in stillness you can hear the softest parts of yourself, the ones that never shout, the ones that whisper like feathers hitting the floor. You're not in the boat anymore, or maybe the boat became the bed, or maybe the bed became the sky. Doesn't matter. You're cradled now, by rhythm, by warmth, by the slow, sure unraveling of thought. There's a lantern inside you, dimming with purpose, and if you listen close, Ellie, you'll hear it say, "You've made it. You're safe. Drift now." There's a moment just before sleep fully claims you, where the world turns into fog. Not real fog, no damp shoes or haunted forest vibes. This is mind fog, a warm blur, like someone smeared your thoughts with soft butter and forgot to wipe their hands. You're not bothered. You like it here. You can't remember the last thought you had, or maybe you can, but it's slippery, like trying to hold a cloud. What were we talking about again? Boats? Flamingos? Cheese? No matter. That chapter has melted. Now you're in a different place. The air smells of firewood and clean sheets. Somewhere in the distance, a kettle whistles, but softly, like it's trying not to wake the baby. And speaking of babies, you're pretty much one right now, limbs relaxed, mouth slightly open, breathing like you just discovered how cool lungs are. This is the fog zone, where time is fuzzy and logic has packed its bags. You think, did I leave the stove on? But that thought doesn't land. It flutters once, then disappears like a moth deciding not to bother you tonight. Let's pause here. Not literally, we're still floating, but let's give your half-awake brain a bite-sized bedtime story. Thousands of years ago, in what is now Indonesia, humans painted dreams. Well, not actual dreams, but symbols of what they felt, feared, and worshipped. These cave paintings, some over 40,000 years old, show hands reaching out, animals mid-leap, eyes staring into the abyss. Historians still argue whether these were art, ritual, or an ancient form of, "Hey, look what I saw last night." Maybe they were sleepy expressions, maybe just something to do before nodding off. Imagine it, a flickering fire, warm stone, the buzz of crickets, and someone holding a bit of ochre, saying, "Okay, now this wild beast definitely chased me in my dream." Your fingers twitch under the blanket. Maybe you were there. You turn your head slightly, just enough to nestle deeper. Pillow, accepted. And here's a curious tid. Bit Neanderthals probably slept in groups, huddled for warmth. They used fire not just for cooking, but for comfort at night. Recent research even suggests they might have tucked themselves into soft grass beds inside caves, arranged like sleep nests. Imagine being in that pile. Not glamorous, sure, but warm, connected, safe. Tonight, your cave is quiet. Your fire is metaphorical. But your body still remembers how to settle, how to rest. And now, the mirror fogs. Literally, you're inside a dream bathroom. Steam curls around you like a cat with nowhere to be. You look in the mirror, but your face is softened, edges gone, just a presence, a being. No expectations, no identity to perform, just you, and that's more than enough. You step into a hallway, but it's fuzzy too. Fuzzy in that dream logic way where each step stretches time. The walls breathe, not in a creepy way, just alive. Like the building itself is half asleep and wants to help you get there too. You drift through doors that don't open, past clocks that melt into puddles of time. There's a window. Outside, a slow snowfall. Not cold, just there. Like glitter falling in slow motion. You blink, or don't. You can't really tell anymore. And here's your historical snack for this leg of the dream ride. Leonardo da Vinci was said to follow a polyphasic sleep schedule, taking multiple naps throughout the day instead of one long night's rest. Some say he only slept 2 hours in total, broken into 20-minute chunks. Cool? Maybe. Sustainable? Historians debate it. But there's something comforting in the idea that even a genius needed naps. You deserve yours. Let's go deeper. Past the hallway, past the snow. Now you're outside. But it doesn't feel like outdoors. The stars are closer, hanging low, almost curious. One even winks. The ground is soft beneath your bare feet. Not grass, not sand, something in between. It yields just enough to feel like you're walking on memory foam dreams. And what's that in the sky? A slow S. Constellations, rearranging themselves into stories you almost remember. Was that a whale? A violin? A toaster? Doesn't matter. In this foggy world, your brain finally stops correcting you. You think, maybe the moon is hollow, and no one rolls their eyes. You think, I should sleep with socks on, and the universe says, valid. This is where the last tiny thoughts go to dissolve. They arrive, blink, and then fall backward into mist. And now, here's your final bedtime curiosity for tonight. In a NASA training exercise, one satellite technician accidentally fell asleep mid-simulation and began speaking fluently in Spanish, something he hadn't done since childhood. Whether it was a glitch or a deep brain unlock, no one knows, but it led to a study on how sleep might reopen linguistic memory. So hey, if you wake up speaking 14th century French tomorrow, don't be alarmed. You're still breathing, still safe, still fogged. You're not falling anymore. You've landed. Not with a crash, but with the softness of petals settling on water. Remember the mirror? It's just a window now. And through it, all you see is stardust. You blink again, or maybe not. Breath in, soft pause, breath out. Even the fan beside your bed seems to hum slower. Even your blanket seems heavier, in the best possible way. If a single thought still lingers, cradle it gently, then let it drift off like everything else. You're no longer part of the waking world. You're in the quiet in-between, where all good stories rest. The sky has changed, not in a sudden way. Nothing here ever is, but the stars above you aren't just twinkling anymore. They're pulsing, glowing, spinning ever so slowly, like a mobile above a cradle, and you, wrapped in your cocoon of blankets and soft exhale, are no longer drifting through the world. You are the world, or at least a galaxy under eyelids, a constellation named you, finally sleeping. Remember the fog? It's thinned now. Not gone, just evolved. What once was misty and mysterious is now cozy and clear, like a snow globe gently settling after a shake. There's no more ground. There's no more boat. There's just floating, still, infinite, free. Let's time travel softly one last time. Somewhere in ancient China, poets described sleep as riding the crane to visit distant lands, dreamscapes of memory, spirit, and mystery. Cranes were seen as divine messengers, and dreaming was the mind's way of riding their backs into something beyond the physical. Cal. You're on one now, you know. Not a literal bird, but that same feeling, the sensation of rising without effort, of moving without muscle. No feathers, no wings, just you, light as a breath, soaring through yourself. Let go even more, because at this point, you've slipped beneath the conscious tide. You're bobbing gently in a warm sea made of memory foam and long-forgotten lullabies. The kind your grandmother maybe hummed, or someone once played on a music box. And in this final stretch, the last little pieces of awareness gather like sleepy fireflies and blink out one by one. You remember the talk about dreams and snoring kings and cave paintings. they're still with you, but muffled now, stored away in some cozy corner of your hippocampus, like bedtime books on a shelf. And speaking of quirky bedtime things, did you know that in Finland, saunas are sometimes used before bed to induce deep sleep? That dry, intense heat, followed by cold plunges, then curling up under a wool blanket, has been part of their nighttime tradition for generations. Tonight, you've done your own version. You walked through heat, the pressure of the day, the mind's overactivity, and now you've plunged into cool stillness. No ice bath required, just breath and stillness. And maybe a little snore. It's fine, no one's judging. The universe is rocking you now, not in a loud, electrifying way. In that eternal lullaby hum, the kind the earth sings to itself at 3 a.m., when the sky has no need to impress anyone. Your heartbeat is steady, slow. Your limbs are soft, forgotten. Even your name feels like a suggestion now. And if we pulled back far enough, zoomed out to a cosmic level, we'd see you, glowing. Just a gentle spark in the quilt of nighttime energy. No tasks, no worries, just breath and silence and dreams forming like stars. Let's go further. Imagine your body now a planet, a small one, cozy, maybe named Pillow On. No points for creativity. We're tired, remember? Its gravity holds your soul like satin. Its atmosphere smells like lavender and candle smoke. And your thoughts, they orbit slowly, but soon they'll drift off entirely. Because this isn't just sleep, this is surrender. This is what your mind has been begging for without words all day. The moment you step out of the performance, out of identity, out of even needing to sleep, you're just here, just being. Historians still argue whether the concept of dream time in ancient Aboriginal cultures was literal or metaphorical. A sacred space where ancestors walked, memories lived, and the soul stretched its legs. But you're walking there now, barefoot, unworried. Maybe your dream tonight will take you to an underwater ballroom, or a garden that only grows silver leaves, or a moment from childhood you thought you forgot. And if you don't dream at all, that's okay. Not all rest needs to be colorful. Some rest is just deep, quiet, blank, pure. And now, the very last thing to think about is nothing at all. Let even Sis voice fade. Let the room disappear. Let your body dissolve into breath, and breath into stillness. Your only job now is to do nothing, to be nothing, because in nothingness you find the deepest peace. You've done it. The world has faded to a whisper, and your thoughts, once bright and busy, are now soft embers, dimming with each breath. There is no more story, no more movement, only stillness. Let your body melt entirely into the bed, like wax finding its final shape. There is nothing else to do, no one to be, nowhere to go. You're held, safe, wrapped in the rhythm of your own breath, slow and steady, like waves kissing a faraway shore. Each inhale, a feather drifting in, each exhale, a worry gently leaving. You've traveled through memory, myth, time, and fog, and now there is only here, only now. Even this voice, which guided you gently, is stepping back, letting the silence cradle you, letting sleep hold you close. Let your dreams arrive in their own time. They know the way. You don't need to chase them. You've earned this rest, this peace, this quiet. Your breath is the only sound that matters now. Let it lull you. Let it lead you. And if your thoughts return, let them pass like wind across your cheek, acknowledged, unattached, gone. Sink deeper, soften more, float down and down and down until sleep gathers you completely and you become part of the hush